हेलो फ्रेंड्स, मेरा नाम पीयूष चंद्रा है एंड आई हैव बीन अ कम्युनिकेशंस कोच फॉर अबाउट 18 ईयर्स नाउ। कुल मिला के 20 साल हो गए, बट आई हैव बीन एक्टिवली कोचिंग ऑन कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट फॉर अबाउट 18 ईयर्स नाउ। इन द लास्ट 18 ईयर्स आई हैव कोच्ड ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ पीपल। हर तरह के इंसान को मैंने कोच किया हुआ है, और उसमें फ्रॉम स्टूडेंट टू अ यूनियन मिनिस्टर टू हाउसवाइफ, कॉर्पोरेट सीईओज, कॉर्पोरेट एम्प्लॉयज, लॉयर्स, जजेस, डॉक्टर्स, ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ पीपल। मैं आपको थोड़ा सा बताना चाहता हूं कि कम्युनिकेशन एक्चुअली होता क्या है, कहां से शुरू होता है, क्या होता है और कैसे वर्क करता है। सो कम्युनिकेशन इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट अ सर्टेन लैंग्वेज, इट इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट सर्टेन गुड वर्ड्स, इट इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट लर्निंग थ्रू अ बुक, इट इज अबाउट अ वंडरफुल एक्सपीरियंस। कम्युनिकेशन की जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट कड़ी है, जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है और जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट आल्मा मैटर है, वो है इंटरेस्ट। अब इस कोर्स के थ्रू आप जानेंगे कि कैसे आप अपने कम्युनिकेशन को इंटरेस्टिंग बना सकते हैं। हाउ इज दैट यू कैन मेक योर कम्युनिकेशन एब्सोल्युटली इंटरेस्टिंग। In the last 18 years, और पिछले 8 साल, primarily, I have been working into this particular area, trying to figure out what are the basic necessities, what are the basic standpoints, जिसके ऊपर ये communication नाम की इमारत खड़ी हुई है। So communication is multiple things. It is about maintaining eye contact, it is about maintaining the right body language, it is about maintaining the right verbal cues, non-verbal cues, it is about maintaining the right words, right modulation of your voice, intonation. ये बहुत सारी चीजें कम्युनिकेशन के अंदर एक साथ मिलकर आ जाती हैं। पिछले 7-8 सालों के अंदर प्राइमरीली मैंने कोशिश करी है कि इन सारे के सारे फैक्टर्स को बहुत अच्छे से सिंप्लीफाई किया जा सके। तो आज क्रैक आईएएस के थ्रू इस अपॉर्चुनिटी का फायदा उठाते हैं और आगे बढ़ते हैं और जानते हैं कि ये कम्युनिकेशन नाम की जो इमारत है और कम्युनिकेशन नाम की जो बिल्डिंग है, हाउ इज इट स्टैंडिंग, व्हाट आर द बेसिक पिलर्स, हाउ यू कैन अचीव कॉन्फिडेंस इन योर कम्युनिकेशन, हाउ यू कैन कॉन्फिडेंटली प्रेजेंट योर सेल्फ इन फ्रंट ऑफ पीपल, जो कि शायद आज आप लैक कर रहे होंगे। और ये जरूरत सिर्फ दोस्तों आपकी अकेले की नहीं है, ये एक हर एक इंसान की जरूरत है और उसके कई सारे रीजंस हैं। बिकॉज हाउ कम्युनिकेशन स्टार्ट्स विथ मल्टीपल फैक्टर्स, कम्युनिकेशन डिपेंड्स अपॉन मल्टीपल फैक्टर्स, कम्युनिकेशन डिपेंड्स अपॉन अपब्रिंगिंग, कम्युनिकेशन डिपेंड्स अपॉन आप किस तरीके के स्कूल में गए हैं, किस तरीके के एनवायरनमेंट में रहे हैं, बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स, किस तरीके के लोगों में उठते बैठते हैं, एंड व्हाट आर द बेसिक थिंग्स दैट यू प्रैक्टिस। साथ साथ आप प्रैक्टिस है, आपका कोच कौन है, आपको गाइड करने वाला कौन है, ये बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है हमारा कम्युनिकेशन। सो लेट्स गो टुवर्ड्स दिस जर्नी, वॉक करते हैं, रन करते हैं और बहुत सारी नई नई चीजें सीखते हैं इस जर्नी के अंदर। सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं, देखते हैं कि हमारा कम्युनिकेशन डेवलप कैसे होता है। उसमें दो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट्स हैं, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट्स हैं। कई सारे लोग बहुत कंफ्यूज्ड रहते हैं इस पर्टिकुलर चीज के अंदर, जब वो देखते हैं कि लैंग्वेज क्या चीज है और सब्जेक्ट क्या चीज है। दोस्तों, सबसे पहले तो आप बहुत अच्छी तरह समझते भी होंगे और जानते भी होंगे कि ये दोनों ही चीजें अलग हैं, पर कई सारे लोग ना, जब कम्युनिकेशन की बात आती है तो इसमें डिफरेंशिएट नहीं कर पाते। सब्जेक्ट और लैंग्वेज, जब हम बात करते हैं सब्जेक्ट की, तो पर्टिकुलरली व्हेन वी एसोसिएट communication, we associate it with English language. And English language as a language has developed as a colloquial common language in recent past. Because हमारे लिए, हमारे देश के लिए, this has become even more important because in India, as you go further, as you go across, आप 100 मीटर, कई बार 100 किलोमीटर, थोड़ा सा भी वॉक करेंगे, the language changes. हमारे साउथ इंडिया में एक अलग लैंग्वेज बोली जाती है, ईस्ट इंडिया में अलग लैंग्वेज बोली जाती है, नॉर्थ इंडिया में अलग लैंग्वेज बोली जाती है, वेस्ट में अलग लैंग्वेज बोली जाती है. सो most of the countries, this is not the case. In most of the countries, they have a common language across the country. But in our country, we have multiple languages across the country, across cities, across environments, across states. So, कैसे bridge करें इस gap को? So, to bridge this particular gap, English emerged as a common language. And it came across as a language where everybody would be able to communicate across the states, across cities, across the nation. इन बहुत सारी चीजों को डिवाइस करते हुए इंग्लिश एज अ लैंग्वेज डिजाइन करी गई. एंड टू प्रमोट इट, टू एंश्योर दैट यू नो most of the people are able to understand and learn that language, this was brought about as a subject in schools. However, the subject has its own limitations. Limitations क्या है सब्जेक्ट की? सब्जेक्ट की limitations है कि सब्जेक्ट के अंदर आपको मार्क्स लेकर आने हैं, आपको क्लैरिटी, फ्लुएंसी और साथ साथ स्किल डेवलप हो या ना हो उसकी जरूरत नहीं होती. इट इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट टू एक्चुअली बी एबल टू कम्युनिकेट प्रॉपरली. That is not something which is tested, which was actually tested in schools. Now some schools are taking that as an opportunity and they are coaching people on English communication skills, English oral skills as well. But till some time back, this was not a possibility. When I was growing up, when I was in school, it was not happening. And what happened is, most of the people, they continued to learn the subject. And the irony is, no matter which medium or which board you go to Maharashtra board, you go to Bihar board, you go to Bengal board, or you go to whichever medium, Hindi medium, English medium, whatever medium you have studied in, every student in India studies English from KG till class 10th as a subject. But still, the irony is the person is not able to speak it properly. Because even the teachers who come across and teach English, they pass a written examination. Most of the times, their oral skills are not really tested. Their English communication skills are not tested in terms of verbal communication. वो उनके written skills, वो उनके written communication skills को most of the times test किया जाता है और वही subject का parameter बन जाता है. And every time the same thing happens, each and every student is tested in terms of how well he is able to mug up the concepts. But when you talk about a language, it is an entirely different concept. Language कैसे work करती है? अब आप जब local land में लेते हैं, जैसे let's say English is the mother tongue language of people who are living in an English speaking country. They are called native speakers. Now for these people, a 4-year-old boy or a 3-year-old boy, anyone would speak fluent English. फराटेदार अंग्रेजी बोलेगा. And if you ask him about some things like, you know, verbs, nouns, pronouns or things, what is the present participle, what is the past participle into this, and tenses and things like these, if you ask this particular kid, he's going to run away. But he is able to speak fluent English. Now, that is what is a language. Now, you do not really need to go to a school. You really do not need to go to a certain institution to learn the language of the land. So if you are living in a certain country or living in a certain state in India for that matter, so somebody who is living in Chennai would be able to speak Tamil. Somebody who is living in Hyderabad may be able to speak Telugu because his environment is like that. Somebody who is living in North India primarily would be able to speak Hindi properly. Or Bhojpuri for that matter, if the person is from Bihar or that particular part. Person from Bengal would be able to, in East, would be able to speak Bengali. That's the language of the land. So now, this is what is called a language. Now the confusion happens when people say that, you know, I have learned English as a subject, or I have learned any language as a subject. I have scored very good marks, but I'm still not able to speak, write proper texts or emails or things like that. I'm not able to do that. So I was able to pass my examination with a very good score, but still I'm not able to speak it properly. I'm not able to connect words. I'm not able to connect sentences. I'm not able to reach out to better words. Now, my friends, this particular course is going to solve this particular problem of yours, because now through this particular course you would be learning English as a language, which would equip you, which would prepare you to be able to speak, read, write and listen, understand English properly. Okay, now we would be studying, or we would be understanding English as a language and not as a subject anymore, because you have done enough of a subject. तो मेरे दोस्तों प्लीज ध्यान रखिएगा कि इस जर्नी के अंदर आपको कॉपी किताब से भी ज्यादा एक एक एक्सरसाइज, एक एक एलिमेंट जो मैं इस कोर्स के अंदर डिस्कस करने वाला हूं उसके ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. तो आप सब तैयार हैं? तो आगे बढ़ते हैं. लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ इट. ओके, सो when we understand how is a language developed, एक लैंग्वेज कैसे डेवलप होती है? लैंग्वेज डेवलप होती है जब छोटे से बच्चों को देखते हैं. अगर हम when we watch small kids together, बच्चा कैसे सीखता है? I'm sure if you're watching this video, you would have probably seen a kid growing up and developing the language skills. How it goes by is the kid learns very, very simple words, like he starts with single syllable words like ma, pa, single sounds, एक sound, ma, pa, and then अभी मजेदार बात क्या है कि जो हमारे शुरू के एलिमेंट्री कुछ शब्द हैं वो डिजाइन भी ऐसे ही करे गए हैं कि बच्चा बहुत कंफर्टेबली उसको पकड़ पाए. जैसे डबल उसको कर दिया तो बन गई मां, यानी कि मामा. फादर बनाने के लिए पापा, दादा, मामा, चाचा, राइट? थिंग्स लाइक दैट, यू नो. सो बहुत छोटे छोटे से वर्ड से देन फिर क्या होता है? देन देयर इज एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग दैट हैपेंस. सो द फर्स्ट एलिमेंट in any language, or the smallest unit in any language, is alphabet. The first unit, the elementary unit of any language is alphabet. English में 26 होते हैं, 26 A to Z. हिंदी में आ से अंगा तक होता है. ऐसे अलग अलग languages में alphabets होते हैं. So I am sure all of you are very well versed with the alphabets. आप सब लोग इंग्लिश के alphabets, अभी बहुत सारे लोगों को शायद हिंदी के alphabets में कई बार प्रॉब्लम आ जाए. You might not remember them properly, but English alphabets are something that most of us in India remember, at the back of our mind. I mean, it's so simple. A to Z, 26 alphabets. Now, the usage of these alphabets, when you use these alphabets make words. Alphabets make words. Now these words are the second unit of any language, which brings us to a point that we need to have enough words to be able to express the things that we want to say, the things that we want to probably communicate. So words are the next things, जिसे हम vocabulary कहते हैं, lexical resource कहते हैं, transitioning कहते हैं. And then probably this is something that can be well developed. That's the good news. This can be well developed. Probably I'm not going to be telling you the cliched ways of learning it. I'm going to be bringing about something really joyful. कुछ बहुत ही interesting और मजेदार तरीके मैं आपको बताऊंगा जिससे आप अपनी vocabulary को improve कर सकते हैं, exercise कर सकते हैं, आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. The second thing that you need to do is have enough words in your kitty, because words act as very important element in our communication. Now friends, when we talk about words, let's say if I'm using a sentence, if I'm using a particular sentence which says I'm going to come to your home tomorrow, in this particular sentence काम के शब्द जो हैं वो हैं I, your home, tomorrow. Right? The rest of the things, they can be worked out. But first of all, I need to be able to understand very, very clearly what are the most important words. Then, ये is, as और ये सब चीजें लगाना doesn't get very difficult. It's not very, very difficult. Putting on these connectors, putting on these conjunctions, putting on these things is not very, very difficult. That's the good news. The first part is you need to be able to get to the essence of the next thing, which is called sentence. All right? So, alphabets makes words. Words make sentences. All right? So, if you have enough words in your kitty, you would be able to make fantastic sentences. Sentences make paragraphs. If you're able to make wonderful sentences, you would be making wonderful paragraphs. And post these paragraphs, if you're able to make wonderful paragraphs, you would be making fantastic stories, and that's what makes you interesting. In the modern day times, friends, people have been talking about storytelling, these things, multiple things about this, but it all starts from this particular point. So, सबसे पहले हम इसके ऊपर फोकस करेंगे. I would be telling you exercises, I would be telling you various ways through which you can have enough words. You can develop your vocabulary so that you can make fantastic sentences, wonderful paragraphs, and interesting stories. Ready for that? So, we call them very interesting stories, wonderful paragraphs, and meaningful sentences. Okay, so the journey, कहते हैं ना बूंद बूंद से समंदर भरता है, तो बूंद आपके यहाँ पे आते हैं, and then you are able to fill buckets. From buckets, you are able to fill a reservoir. From a reservoir, you are able to fill up a larger area, a larger space, and then you are a free-flowing ocean. You would be acting like an ocean of words, something which comes naturally to you, something which comes excitingly to you. कोई चीज बहुत आसानी से naturally आप communicate कर पाते हैं, and that's where we are going to reach through this particular program. Okay, so friends, बात करते हैं words की. How is that you can develop a wonderful vocabulary? कैसे आप डेवलप कर सकते हैं? I'm sure बहुत सारे लोगों ने बहुत सारी चीज़ें ट्राई करी होंगी. कुछ लोग न्यूज़पेपर से वर्ड्स निकालते होंगे, कुछ लोग कहीं लोगों से पूछते होंगे, कुछ लोग डिक्शनरी याद करने की कोशिश करने लग जाते होंगे. पर मैं आपको बहुत क्लियरली बताता हूँ, मेरे पास ऐसे बहुत सारे कोचेस आते हैं, स्टूडेंट्स आते हैं, पर अल्टीमेटली वो एक ही सवाल लेकर आते हैं, सर मैं तैयारी तो बहुत की, I tried my best, I learned the dictionary, I learned 5 words every day, I did so much, but I just keep forgetting them. I'm not able to use them. I just keep forgetting them. I mean, it's so hard for me to actually use the words when I want them to be used, really. So, now how to solve that particular problem? दोस्तों, सबसे पहले, I want you to understand and clear out a very, very simple doubt of your mind, that you would never ever be able to continuously remember, because this has complete connection. This has a very nice connection to our human learning process. 72 hours later, the science says 72 hours later, you remember just 6% of what happened during the day. So imagine, and that 6% is the thing which you particularly revisit, revise, and the things that you continue to do. जो चीज़ें आप लगातार करते जाते हैं, वो चीज़ें आप ज़्यादा याद रख पाते हैं और उन चीज़ों को भूल जाते हैं जो उतनी इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं होती, और ये वर्ड्स उतने ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं होते, तो ये जनरली फ्लैश आउट हो जाते हैं. सो व्हाट इज़ द स्ट्रैटेजी, हाउ टू गो अबाउट इट? तो दोस्तों, सबसे पहली चीज़, इसे याद नहीं करना है. क्या कोई साइकिल चलाना याद रखता है? क्या कोई स्विमिंग करना याद रखता है? नहीं. It is like a skill. It is something which is like a free-flowing water. The more you communicate, the more you are able to use them. I will tell you about the exercises that you can do to use them. कैसे करते हैं, उसको यूज़ कैसे करना है, चीज़ें करना है, वो एक्सरसाइजेस मैं आपको बताऊंगा, उसके थ्रू आप ये काम कर पाएंगे. तो वी वुड बी फोकसिंग नेक्स्ट ऑन हाउ टू बिल्ड हाई क्वालिटी वर्डाब्युलरी और वोकैब्युलरी. कैसे रेगुलर में आप इसको बढ़ा सकते हैं. दोस्तों उसके लिए जो सबसे पहली एक्सरसाइज मैं आपको रेकमेंड करूंगा, आई एम श्योर most of you who are watching this particular video, some of you might be aware of this particular thing and some of you might not be aware. I'm sure बहुत सारे लोगों ने यहाँ पर जो इस वीडियो को देख रहे होंगे, बहुत सारे लोग जो इस कोर्स को ले रहे हैं, वो जानते होंगे कि अंताक्षरी क्या होती है, राइट? कुछ बच्चे आजकल एक नया गेम खेलते हैं जिसको हम एटलस कहते हैं, जिसमें वो सिटी नेम से खेलते हैं. अंताक्षरी in India, primarily it's, I don't know whether this is a game which came from a different country or not, but I feel that every Indian is probably acquainted with this particular game. So, Antakshari in India is played in two ways. Way number one, we play it with movie names. Second one is we play it with songs. So, in either case, in both the cases, so the challenger and the person who is the starter. So the starter and the challenger. The starter starts with a certain song, and with the last alphabet of where the song ends, the challenger sings the song. So ऐसे करके ये exercise चलती है. Movie names में भी exactly similar way होता है. With the last alphabet of the movie name, the other challenger starts saying that. So that's how the entire game progresses. अभी जो आप गेम खेलेंगे, अपने आपको क्या करना है, सबसे पहले एक पार्टनर ढूंढना है अपने लिए. यू हैव टू फाइंड अ पार्टनर. अभी एज अ स्टार्टर एट दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम यू कैन टेक अप एनीबॉडी who knows little English, who is able to contribute and who is able to give you about 15 to 20 minutes every day. It can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can be anybody. और अगर ये नहीं भी मिलता है, आप एक ऐसी जगह पर हैं जहां पर कोई और आपके आसपास वाला अवेलेबल नहीं है जो अच्छे से इंग्लिश बोल पाता हो या कुछ भी थोड़ा बहुत भी बोल पाता हो, उसके लिए भी मेरे पास एक रास्ता है. I'll tell you. Okay, so बट पहले देखते हैं कि कैसे करना है इस चीज को. So the first exercise that you're going to do is if you get a partner, दोनों situations को डिस्कस करते हैं. एक, if you have a partner, okay, somebody who can speak basic English, knows some words, and is able to and is ready to contribute about 15 to 20 minutes with you. आपके साथ 15-20 मिनट गुजारने को तैयार है, आपके साथ ये एक्सरसाइज करने के लिए तैयार है. कुछ रूल्स हैं, प्लीज इनको ध्यान से नोट कर लीजिए. इस रूल्स को आपने ध्यान रखना है. रूल नंबर वन इज द वर्ड हैज टू बी minimum 5 alphabets. Okay. Rule number 2. It cannot be the name of person, place, animal, food, or brand. Brand like Sony, Samsung, and other brands, Apple. It cannot be the name of a brand, food, person, place, animal. It cannot be the name of it. It has to be a minimum 5 alphabet word. This is the prerequisite. कैसे खेलेंगे? Let's say if I say आप अपने पार्टनर के साथ खेल रहे हैं, the partner says the word start, S-T-A-R-T, start, then you would say a word with T. Let's say you say a word think. Okay. With the last alphabet of that, the other one would say another word like knowledge. All right? But it has to be a minimum 5 alphabet word. The length of the word can be anything, but minimum alphabet has to be 5. Now that's the situation when you have a partner. Now when you don't have a partner, the rules remain the same, But when you don't have a partner, then you need to make a very small little chotu sa investment. And that is buying a small pocket-sized dictionary, like this size, all right? Something which you can carry with you from anywhere. Or which you can carry anywhere. I mean, it's like, can be put in your pocket, can be put in your, if you're a female, you can probably put it into your small handbag, or you can keep it anywhere. It should be very, very handy. You need to buy a small pocket dictionary, and you play the game with the dictionary. How you do that is, so let's say I say the word start. So from your own mind, you would say a word, you say start, then the dictionary is your challenger. So you would flick the pages of the dictionary and find T, any word with T. And when you find the word with T, then find a word which matches these parameters, okay? Minimum 5 alphabets. It cannot be the name of a person, place, animal, food, or brand. Once you find this word, then with the last alphabet of this particular word, you again say another word. And then with the last alphabet of that word, again, the dictionary is your challenger, find a word in the dictionary. You can try new words. You can use familiar words to continue with the exercise. पर आपने इसको भी 15 से 20 minutes daily करना है. Okay, in either case, if you have a partner, then also 15 to 20 minutes. और अगर नहीं भी है partner, तो 15-20 minutes. My friends, as we progress in this particular course, आपके पास exercises होंगी और भी चीज़ों की. So please ensure that you don't overdo a certain thing. Okay, ऐसा नहीं होता कि डॉक्टर आपको the things that I am telling you, they are very well experienced, tested, and they have had fantastic results on people so far. So I have many people vouching for the exercises, for the things that I have told them, and they have been working fantastically well for them. They have given them fantastic results. They have been able to improve their communication very, very well. Okay, so now as your part goes in here, so once these words that you've started getting, you don't have to remember them. You don't really have to remember them. You have to just continuously do the exercise. और दोस्तों, जैसा कि मैं कहने वाला था कि जब आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं और वो आपको 30 दिन की दवाई लिख कर देता है, तो आप अगर एक दिन में 30 दिन की दवाई खा लेंगे, then it is not going to cure you completely. It might have damageable, or it might have bad effects. It might have side effects. Similar is the case with learning. Learning is a skill. कई बार लोग सोचते हैं कि learning is a continuous process. कई बार लोग सोचते हैं कि एक साथ इकट्ठा करके एक दिन में सारी की सारी चीज़ें कर लेंगे. Now that's not a perfect way of learning. Learning is something, if you really want to learn something, उसको रट्टाफिकेशन कहते हैं. अगर आप एक ही दिन में उठा के 2-3 दिन में उठा के बिल्कुल तैयार कर लेना चाहते हैं, उसे रटना कहते हैं. उसे बस सिर्फ सब्जेक्ट की तरह एग्जाम पास करने के लिए कहते हैं. बट इफ यू रियली वांट टू लर्न द लैंग्वेज, इफ यू रियली वांट टू कम्युनिकेट वेल, देन यू नीड टू डेवलप अ स्किल. जैसे साइकिल चलाना, स्विमिंग करना, प्रैक्टिस के साथ आता है, चीज़ों के साथ आता है, और ग्रेजुअली थोड़ा थोड़ा करना होता है. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप ये फिटनेस की तरह है, एक्सरसाइज की तरह है. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आप 30 दिन की एक्सरसाइज एक दिन में आके खड़े हो गए कि आज मैंने 12-15 घंटा कर लिया, अब मुझे करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. ये खाने पीने की तरह है. जैसे मैंने आज 30 दिन का खाना खा लिया, अब मुझे बाकी 29 डेज खाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. ना, that's not happening. So we are not, this is something which is about a continuous good habit building. Communication एक अच्छी आदत है, एक अच्छा तरीका है, एक continuous practice है, and it is going to be built like, जैसे साइकिल चलाना आप सीख जाते हैं, कार चलाना सीख जाते हैं. कार चलाते वक्त शुरू में नया ड्राइवर बिल्कुल स्टीयरिंग से चिपक के बैठा हुआ होता है, पर ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वो सीढ़ी भी बदल लेता है, फ़ोन पे बात भी कर लेता है. ही कैन डू मल्टीपल थिंग्स व्हाइल ड्राइविंग. ऐसे ही कम्युनिकेशन भी कब आपकी ज़िंदगी का हिस्सा बन जाएगा, कब आप कम्युनिकेशन अपने आप फ्लुएंटली करने लग जाएंगे, विदाउट एनी सपोर्ट, विदाउट एनीथिंग, विदाउट इवन थिंकिंग अबाउट इट एंड थिंकिंग अबाउट समथिंग एल्स व्हाइल यू आर कम्युनिकेटिंग, ये पता भी नहीं चलेगा. However, the journey starts from this particular point where you do not really have to try too hard or do too many things on a single day. The key point is, the key thing that you can probably do is start by developing the right habit. Okay, so not more than 15-20 minutes daily. I'll tell you, how much. So for the first 1 month, this is what you have to do. You have to just do it for 15-20 minutes. I'll tell you as the course progresses how exactly you would be able to maneuver the exercise, how you would be able to change the exercise for better benefits. कैसे आप उसको कर पाएंगे. So now that's your exercise number 1, friends. साथ में इसी कोर्स मटेरियल के अंदर यहाँ पे मैं आपको एक छोटी सी एक्सरसाइज और दूंगा. ये एक्सरसाइज है जिसमें आप कुछ वर्ड्स बनाएंगे. I'll tell you about this particular exercise and let's start. So friends, the kind of dictionary that I was talking about is this size. इस size की dictionary आपने लेनी है, which is like a pocket hand size. This is so convenient, so easy to carry, and you would be able to probably use it anywhere. Very, very comfortable, very exciting, and you can always play with this. This is one of the exercises that you would be doing, exercise number 1, as part of the second exercise for building up your vocabulary. This is a very, very simple exercise. Most of the exercises that I have designed, they are probably designed in a way that you can do it anywhere. आप कहीं भी उसको कर सकते हैं अपनी convenience से, ease के साथ, wherever. All you need to do is take 3 prints of this particular page. आप अपने इस कोर्स के पार्ट में से ये शीट लेंगे, ये शीट आपको मिलेगी. इस शीट से आप 3 प्रिंट आउट्स लेंगे 3 पेजेस के. इसी पेज के आप 3 प्रिंट आउट लेंगे और एक पेज के ऊपर टॉप पे आप लिखेंगे बिफोर, दूसरे पेज के टॉप पे आप लिखेंगे आफ्टर, एंड on the third page you will write middle. Now what happens in this particular exercise is, all you need to do is, whenever you get time, you can probably test your brain. You can probably exercise and test your brain, and by doing this on the before page, the TO2 or IN or FOR or all these terms, they have to come at the start of the word. So let's say TO comes in today, tomorrow, together, all right, tonight, all these words. So this is before. When you talk about after, in the after, you would be using the words, using these words at the last of it, at the last of the complete word, like into, dare to, where to, like this, all right. TO comes at the last. And in the last page, in the last exercise, you would be doing, these words should come in the middle, like stone, all right. Stool, here TO comes in the middle of the word. So this is a very, very comfortable exercise that you can carry anywhere, you can do it anywhere, and this is something which is going to be very, very exciting. It is going to be helping you build words. You would be able to build fantastic words in a period of time. So you would be seeing, now you see there are multiple words out here, and you have to do this for everyone. You can probably try as many words. I recommend that you can start with 10 words, and 10 for each one of them, 10 for before, 10 for after, and 10 for middle. And you would be able to build a fantastic vocabulary out here if you do this particular exercise. So like the words Antakshari or this exercise, both these exercises would give you an opportunity to think, because our brain also needs exercise. Our brain completely needs exercise, because understand guys, there is nothing which is actually inside. You have to take the inputs from outside. इसके बारे में आपको अभी बताता हूँ धीरे धीरे. So let's understand a few things. Okay, so अब हम आते हैं अपने प्रोग्राम के नेक्स्ट पार्ट के ऊपर. So देखते हैं अभी तक हमने क्या क्या किया हुआ है. So in this first leg of this basic communication skills program, अभी हम करने वाले हैं introduction to English language, जो कि हम बहुत अच्छे से कर चुके हैं. हम समझ चुके हैं कि English is also a language and not just a subject, and how a language is understood. We have been able to break some myths around the fact of language, and we have been able to differentiate it from the subject. So that's one part that we have already covered. We are currently we are doing about we are covering the part of basic vocabulary building, And in this basic vocabulary building particular part, we have done 2 exercises. We would be able to build basic vocabulary through cross communication with different people through words and antakshari, and also trying to write down different words. That's exercise number 2. Now we would be talking about some sentence structure and grammar fundamentals. We would be talking about these aspects, and we would be talking about reading comprehension strategies or introduction to some basic conversations. आइए देखते हैं कि अब नेक्स्ट इसमें स्टोर में क्या है. तो सबसे पहले तो अंडरस्टैंड करते हैं कि प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है. थ्रू माय थाउजेंड्स ऑफ पीपल दैट आई हैव कोच्ड इन माय जर्नी इन कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, इंग्लिश कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, इंग्लिश कन्वर्सेशनल स्किल्स, पब्लिक स्पीकिंग, इन सारे बिजनेस कम्युनिकेशन, इन सारे कम्युनिकेशंस में जब भी मैंने लोगों को कोच किया है इन टर्म्स ऑफ देयर इंग्लिश, दीज 6 problems have come across very, very clearly. तो आप देखिए, और I just give you a quick time to see which category you currently fall into. I am sure by now आपने identify कर लिया होगा, इनमें से आप multiple categories में भी fall कर सकते हैं. You can probably fall into the category of I'm not able to speak in English but can understand. I'm not able to understand and speak English. I can understand and speak, but I'm not sure if that's right. I can understand and speak in private, but can't do that in public. I can read and understand English, but can't speak. I can understand and speak to people in India, but not with native English speakers. Now, by native English speakers, I mean people who have English as their first language. So, there are very few countries who have English as their native language. I mean, particularly to name a few, US, Canada combined, Australia, New Zealand, and UK. And the good news is the rest of the world speaks and understands English like you. So it's very, very simple. So these are non-native English speaking countries, and there might be some, so primarily these are the native English speaking countries where English happens to be the first language. The language of the land, where people start with English. They speak English, like probably from wherever you come from, there is a language of the land. There is a language which commonly people speak around you. So here we are talking about the native English speaking countries are the countries where people have English as their mother tongue or the first language. Okay, so now the good news here is that by the end of this particular course, you would be able to very confidently be able to overcome these barriers. And in case there is an advanced knowledge that is needed, there is an advanced course that is also available for this, which you would be able to do. Now let's understand a few basic things. Okay, so how does language work? How do you develop a language? How do you develop a certain proficiency in a language? So when we talk about language, language has 4 basic parts. Okay, now when we talk about these 4 basic parts, the 4 basic parts of a language are listening, reading, speaking and writing. ये 4 parts होते हैं किसी भी language के. अब इसमें जो ये listening और reading है, they are input methods. And speaking and writing, they are output methods. I'm sure all of you have that basic knowledge about basic understanding about how the computer input system input-output system works. Similarly, our body also has an input-output system. Now, when we talk about listening and reading, it's input. Because you have to use your eyes, you have to use your ears to probably gather some information, and that information comes across to you. How do you dissipate information? How do you come across and probably deliver that information? There are 2 methods, speaking and writing. So when we talk about these output methods or these outputs, they are a result of the fantastic inputs that you have received. अभी जैसे आप जानते हैं, चाहे वो कंप्यूटर हो या इंसान, बिना इनपुट्स के उसने कोई आउटपुट नहीं पा पाना है. So we have to probably get the right inputs to ensure we get the right outputs. When we talk about language, we probably feel that, like I told you earlier, that people continue to think that they do not have it in them. दोस्तों ये बहुत गलत सोच है. प्लीज इसको अपने दिमाग से निकाल दीजिए और कॉन्फिडेंट हो जाइए, क्योंकि अगर आपके पास कंसिडरेट अमाउंट ऑफ इनपुट्स नहीं है तो आप डेफिनेटली ये आउटपुट नहीं दे पाएंगे. और इन्हीं इनपुट्स के बेसिस पर द इनपुट्स दैट यू गिव, दीज इनपुट्स वुड प्रोबेबली डिसाइड द काइंड ऑफ आउटपुट दैट यू वुड बी गिविंग. So for example, I have heard people from certain part of the country, they probably are not, they have pronunciation problems. They have some concerns regarding their pronunciations. Now, pronunciation means how a certain word needs to be said or how it is widely accepted across the globe. So they have this problem, and I have seen that particularly with the sh sound, some people have problem and they say sa for sha. When we talk about this particular error, like they pronounce sha as sa. So for something like she, they would say si. Or this might even sound like this. So somebody who is from a native English speaking country or somebody who is a native English speaker would have very big problem understanding this particular concept. When you say sea is coming, now he would think that there is some flood that is probably happening. Or sea is there, probably he might be understanding that he has to probably look somewhere for something. However, you are trying to say this. Similarly, some people would say, some people would have pronunciation errors in terms of V, or they would say V as B. So something like village would sound like village. Now, somebody who is from a native English speaking country would probably bet his own whole learning that he would not be able to find this particular word anywhere. Village never existed, never exists. Okay, however, now the error is not with the person, the error is with the kind of environment that he lived in. Probably his parents, his teachers, friends, around everybody speaks C for she. So they are not acquainted, or they are not particularly proficient in being able to speak sha. And that's where these errors start happening. And then people say that the other person is not able to understand them when they are speaking. Now that's one of the common things. So what is the fun in case if the other person is not able to understand you? You probably spoke too much, you spoke very good English in your own sense, but the other person is not able to understand you. Now that's gross. That's not particularly communicating. That's not communication. Communication would only happen when the other person is able to understand you. Now, understanding this particular concept, we would be working upon the right inputs. So if the inputs are right, the outputs are definitely going to be correct. Because if you put the right code in the computer, if you put the right program in the computer, then you get the right output for sure. So when we are getting the wrong output, or probably in mathematics, when we are getting the wrong answer, we realize that we have probably put in the wrong formula, or something wrong went in the calculation. But we never blame the output. However, when it comes to communication, or English communication precisely, people continue to blame the output. They continue to believe that they are not able to speak well. They are not, and they are not able to write well. Now, how many times? Okay, so अपने दिल पे हाथ रख के बोलना और सोचना ध्यान से कि आप में से कितने लोग एक्चुअली रीडिंग करते हो टू गेट द राइट इनपुट्स. कितने लोग हैं ध्यान से जो सही चीजों को सुनते हैं. नाउ listening to the right things, listening to and reading the right things right way is very, very important here, guys. It's very, very important. It's very critical. It's really critical. Because understand, I have seen people who come to me for communication skills coaching and multiple things, and they come to me and they say that, sir, I'm not able to speak comfortably. I have been watching English movies for so many years, and I have watched so many English movies, but still I'm not able to get that accent. I'm still not able to speak. So my question to them in the first place is, सिर्फ एक बार सोच के देखो कि एक इंग्लैंड में रहने वाला बंदा हिंदी सीखना चाहता है और वो हिंदी मूवीज को देख के, पर्टिकुलरली अगर वो साउथ की कोई डब्ड हिंदी मूवी देख लेता है और उसको देखकर वो हिंदी सीखना चाहे, तो उसकी हिंदी किस तरीके की होगी? क्या कर रहा हूँ बड़ू, मैं तेरे घर आने वाला हूँ, तुझे मैं तेरी मैं हालत खराब कर दूंगा. And imagine somebody trying to learn English, somebody trying to learn Hindi, I'm sorry, that way from England. Movies, my friends, are designed for entertainment. They are not designed for English learning. There is no disclaimer saying before a movie that, that this movie is specifically designed to learn English. No. It is not happening. It does not happen like that. Movies are designed for entertainment. उसमें इंसान वैसे ही बात करेगा जिस तरीके से लोगों को entertaining लगे. And when you watch English movies, there are a lot of dubbed movies also. And even when you're watching those English movies from English-speaking countries, still there are multiple people who are hired from different countries, actors from different countries. They may or may not be native English speakers, but they learn their dialogues over there. So, जैसे हमारी हिंदी मूवीज की कुछ एक्ट्रेसेस काम कर रही होती हैं, एक्टर्स काम कर रहे होते हैं तमिल मूवीज में. Similarly, that's the case. Now, understand, if you try that wrong source, you would never be able to learn correct English, learn correct pronunciation, because that's not the way. That's definitely not the way, because it is designed for entertainment. And you would not be able to catch, because you would ultimately become an entertainment, not a communicator. और ऐसे ही sources के ऊपर हम काम करेंगे. Right sources क्या हैं? बहुत सारे लोग English newspapers read करने की कोशिश करते हैं. Though yes, the editorial portion is definitely a good thing to read. However, the people who are writing newspapers, they are not English communicators, to be precise. They are people who are news reporters. They would probably put in the information in English in a way that the news is passed on, not really structuring it in a way it is needed. The purpose is not to learn English from there. Yes, people would write, you can understand the writing pattern, they would do things. I would be also telling you the right sources, how you can probably start with, what are the sources. And most of the times the news that you see in the newspapers is just a portion, it's just an extract, which definitely does not help you in making wonderful stories, connecting the dots and things, because the information is just about, okay, बस खड्डे में गिर गई, इतने लोग यहाँ पे मर गए, वहाँ पे एरोप्लेन गिर गया, उधर पॉलिटिक्स में ये हो गया, and all that, आज जज ने ये कर दिया, इसके प्राइसेस बढ़ गए. Now most of the information is like that. So yes, it's needed in your colloquial way, it's needed probably in your day-to-day communication, but that does not really help you structuring it in a right way. उसका भी मैं आपको तरीका बताऊंगा. How do you actually get into the right inputs to achieve the right outputs? तो कुछ exercises करते जाएंगे. You would probably enjoy the entire journey. The fact of the matter is, we have to ensure that we take out and scale up some time every day. अब जैसे अगर आपने स्विमिंग सीखना है, डांसिंग सीखना है, म्यूजिक सीखना है, या अपनी फिटनेस गेन करनी है एक्सरसाइज करके, एनीथिंग, दिस रिक्वायर्स रेगुलर एफर्ट. It's not going to happen overnight. So for ensuring this regular effort, to ensure that you get this regular effort, you have to space time for this exercise where you take these inputs. So I strongly recommend that you take about, when you are into the process of learning English communication, or whenever you're in the process of learning any communication in any language, space out at least about 40 to 50 minutes in a day for 5 days a week. So that's the time that you need to space up where you need to take in inputs. अगर आप inputs नहीं लेंगे proper, सही inputs नहीं लेंगे, तो output is definitely not going to be the way you want it, because there is nothing that is actually getting manufactured inside. You have to take it from outside and then you deliver. And this And communicating in style, guys, is not something which is just about a limitation. It's about a constant process. The earlier you're able to develop a fantastic habit, the earlier you would be able to achieve this particular communication goal that you have. Okay, so let's move forward. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Okay, so now as we see this particular part, let's move next. We would be working towards a little bit of an exercise for sentence structure and grammar fundamentals. I had already told you about the exercise, which is the words Antakshari that you would be playing for getting in some words. A similar exercise can also be used to build some smaller sentences and starting to build progressive bigger sentences. It's a progressive exercise which probably helps go week by week or month by month. You can increase the number of things. So how does this exercise go? So अभी आपने जो अंताक्षरी खेली थी वो एक एक word से खेली थी. Now you can probably try with 3 words. Okay. For building sentences, you can try this with 3 words. Now, how does this work? So you can say any 3 words. You can choose a partner. Now, in this case, you would definitely need a partner. You would not be able to do it with the dictionary. Probably you can also try doing it with the mirror. You can sit in front of the mirror and be your own partner in case if you're not getting a partner, and then probably challenge yourself sitting in front of the mirror. आप mirror के सामने बैठ के खुद को challenge कर सकते हैं. So in this exercise, the rules remain more or less the same. It cannot be the name of a person, place, animal, food or brand. And it has to be an exercise which is with 3 words. Now, there is no limitation on the number of alphabets in a word. You can choose any length of the word and then continue with this particular exercise. So how this works is, let's say the first 3 words are let us start. So the first person says let us start. Then with the last alphabet of that, T, the other one says another 3 words. And like I said, it cannot be the name of a person, place, animal, food or brand. That is one check that you need to make every time. So the other person says with T and he says today is Sunday. Then the next person says is Y and he says you are correct. Now that's the way it continues to happen. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next session.